Hello again and welcome to another video from the Marketing Study Guide. In this video I'm going to have a look at a case study for Mother Energy Drinks, which is a Coca-Cola brand in Australia. And it's a great example of a brand that ended up in the Inept product brand set and was considered unsuitable choice by consumers, and how they were able to redesign the product and reposition their way out of it. So it's a very challenging type case study, and I'm perhaps surprised the way Coca-Cola executed it, but it was very successful. My name is Jeff and I'm a long-term marketing lecturer and practitioner. Okay, the product came out around 2007 or so. It's an energy drink. It's from Coca-Cola. You can see it's called Mother, 100% natural energy. It was in a small can, 250 mils, so which is half the size of a traditional soft drink or soda drink. But consistent with the size of most energy drinks, and it was initially unsuccessful. Okay, so why did Coca-Cola bring this to market? So we're going back a little bit in time, but obviously we had, they've been around for more than 100 years at that stage, probably close to 150. They're very aware that changes in taste happen over time. You obviously had Red Bull and other similar brands in most countries escalating energy drink sales, which obviously erode into some of Coca-Cola's brands, such as particularly Coca-Cola itself, which has caffeine and some people use as alternative to coffee or energy drinks. So along comes Red Bull, etc. And you had growing strength of new competitors. So Coca-Cola comes along and says, okay, we need a new product, we need to enter that market. So what's the thinking? Our strategy, let's create a new brand. Coca-Cola owns many strong brands in the world, so they're very good at building brands, so let's put another brand out there, and that adds value to the business. Obviously, we're a beverage market, so we've got production, we've got distribution, we've got logistics, so we can use that, and suppliers, we can use all that capability to compete very effectively in that market. We've got strong retailer relationships, so this is something else we can sell, something that will do well. We can disrupt and block those competitors that are getting stronger, or at least defend against them, and it gives us sales in a new product category which is emerging. So strategically, all makes fantastic sense. So they obviously executed using their competitive advantages. Obviously, Coca-Cola worked very hard in retailer relationships in all channels that sell beverage type products. So they worked those relationships. When they brought this product out initially, they had a 2-for-1 sales deal. So you pay whatever it was, $3 or $4, and you got 2 cans, not one. They had prominent point of sale, so point of sale posters and signage and on counter stuff. When you walk into a store, a convenience store or a supermarket, you were very aware that the product was there and it was new and it was a deal. Well executed name and packaging. So this design looks a bit weird. Designed to represent a tattoo. So again, the emerging culture at the time. Again, going back, obviously tattoos are quite common now, but they were emerging then. The word mother obviously was tested. It's not mummy or mum, it's mother, and it's often connected with another word in some movies to make it a strong sounding name. And their TV commercial at the time, a cartoon movie which you may or might not know, Madagascar, was popular, set with animals in Africa, cartoon animals, and they sort of copied the style of that. Okay, let's have a look at their outcomes once they came to market. Initially, they were able to generate fantastic levels of trials. A trial is a first-time purchase. A customer who's never bought the product before, and they go, oh, gee, I'll give it a go. And that would have happened because most stores were offering this product. Anywhere you could get beverages, they were selling at supermarkets, corner shops, convenience shops, etc. They had the advertising, and of course they had the 2-for-1 deals. They go, oh gee, we can get 2 for the same price, and away we went. However, it was like a roller coaster. Sales went up, and sales went down pretty quickly. And what that showed is repeat purchases were low. So people were not coming back in to buy their second one, or when they came back in, they bought something else. And obviously retailers were not ordering follow-up shipments, etc. So Coca-Cola had a problem. So what they did was did some research and identified that the barrier was the taste. The taste was not ideal or competitive or didn't fit with target market needs, etc. So people bought the product initially on the marketing mix elements, the sales promotion, the place availability, the price point, the packaging, all of those things were fantastic. But then the taste, which is a central product attribute, of course, was not great, and sales plummeted. And we then end up with a brand being placed in what's called the Inept brand set. So let's have a look at a brand set framework. So we've got all the brands in a category, and then a consumer will know some of those brands, be aware of them. Don't need to know much about them, but yes, I have heard of them. And all these brands that nobody's heard of, but that consumer has not heard of. And any product category, unlikely that any consumer will know every brand on offer. Then, if we're unaware of the brand, obviously we know nothing about them, so the model ends there. If we're aware of the brand, we place the brand into one of these sets. So I've got color-coded green, orange, or amber, and red. So Evoked set is sometimes called the consideration set. So we have positive emotions or a positive attitude towards those brands. So they're the ones we go, hey, yep, I'm looking for a drink, or I'm looking for a snack, or looking for a new computer or something. And these are the brands that I will consider because I like them. So to be in here, there has to be an understanding, there has to be some perception, some positioning, and a favorable attitude. And usually for something like a drink, there's history there, the experience, I bought it before. And in that brand, an Evoked set will have the preferred brand or a substitute brand. Okay, so the ones we buy most of the time, and the brand, I feel like something different, I'll grab that, or my brand's not available, or this one's on special, sales promotion. And generally, that's the structure at the top level, which is where we want our brands to be. In the middle there, we've got the inert set. Inert means without power or without motion, from a scientific type term. It means indifference. Here it means we know little about them. So they might be underpositioned. We've heard of them, but I'm not sure about them. Or we can, yeah, they're there, they're a good brand, but I have no intention of ever buying them. So a fairly neutral attitude, or a weak positive attitude, would sit there. And brands here ideally would want to get into the Evoked set, and they need to work on their likability and clarity of positioning in particular. And then down the bottom we have in red, Inept. Inept means incompetent, not good, unsuitable, etc. So we do not want to end up here. This is a red zone, as I've got. And if you're there, consumers are not going to buy you. And a lot of things have to happen for you to even to move up into the Evoked set. So Mother Energy Drink had this challenge. They ended up in the Inept set because of their taste, and regardless of all their other positive attributes, that one attribute tastes pretty central to why you buy a beverage or an energy drink. Bit of a problem. So they had to work out how to get back up there. So let's have a look at things they could have done. Okay, so remember they're Coca-Cola. They're a large dominant company in beverages, and that's their specialty. So some of these are just ideas. Some will get ruled out because they're Coca-Cola. First thing is to forget it. Drop the brand, withdraw the brand, and start again. Come out with a different energy drink product. Cross this off the list, call it something else, reinvent it. Sure, we've got the logistics set up and we've got the production set up. We changed the taste, we changed the packaging, we reinvest in a new brand and start again. So that is actually a viable option, given the damage that had been done to this brand at that point of time. The second option here is to give up from energy drinks and say, well, they're the new kids, the Red Bull, etc. They're really good at energy drinks. We're not so good. Withdraw from the market. Now, that is a possibility for a smaller company who are specialists in parts of beverages. But when you're Coca-Cola and you're trying to dominate, every category in beverages, from normal drinks to juices to waters to sports drinks, you would rule that out as an option for Coca-Cola, maybe for smaller players. Maintain the brand and say, okay, sales are down. How do we get sales back up? More promotion, more sales promotions, more discounting, etc. Given taste is so central, this is not an option. If people were unhappy with the ads, or they're unhappy with the packaging or something, but the product itself was fine, the taste was fine, and the energy kick was fine, this would be a good strategy. But given that taste is central, this was going to be difficult without a reinvention. And the final choice down the bottom is to improve the product and reposition the brand. Now, this is the most significant change, okay, because we're going to change basically the entire product. If we're going to change the taste, but maintain the brand name, we need to make the product look differently, the packaging look different, and we need to relaunch it. Now, Coca-Cola eventually went with this option. I would argue that launching a new brand, given the negative attitudes, and this is in the Inept set, that one was a possibility. I would have put that first. This is probably the second one, because these two, as I mentioned, are not really valid for, that one's not valid for Coca-Cola, and that one's just not going to have any traction because the taste is fundamental. And this becomes the second option. So this is what they went with. Okay, so they brought out New Mother. So you can see they've kept the same name. However, they've doubled the size of the can. They've turned the can from white to black. They've changed many aspects of the packaging. And across the top, I don't know if you read that, it new, tastes nothing like the old one. Now, what they needed to do was change attitudes. Now, when we're talking Evoked set and Inept set and Inept in Mother's case, what we're talking about is memory, experience. So these are formed attitudes, obviously negative attitudes, and quite strongly formed for people who really did not like the taste. So the relaunch had to get here first, had to change attitudes before it was going to change behavior. And you had to convince the target consumer to forget about their last experience. The next experience is going to be a lot better, and you should rebuy it. Now, if you've ever been to a restaurant or bought something, or you didn't like the taste of it, bought a snack and yuck, that was terrible, it's going to take some convincing for you to go, yeah, okay, I'll give it another go. So what they did to execute this is they, in their TV commercial, their relaunch, obviously had the packaging we just saw, but they were willing to accept, hey, we made a mistake with the taste. It wasn't great. And they used humor to communicate that this was a positive change to the taste. And this is because they needed to get people to buy again. And as I got here, this is a tough challenge because initially we're bringing out a new product and, hey, this is new, try it. Okay, that's challenge one. Now we're bringing out the same product. You didn't like it before, you hated it before. We've got two challenges. One, we've got to change attitude and then trigger behavior. The first time we only had to trigger behavior. So moving from the Inept set upwards is a double hurdle and takes a lot of execution to get it right, and obviously time, money, and resources. Now I'll show you the TV commercial now that they used, and then we'll come back to this slide.
At Mother Energy Drinks, we don't do things by half measures. So when we heard people didn't like the taste of Old Mother, we said, you're right, and created a completely new Mother with new taste and double the energy hit. Go!
We then set about hunting down those responsible for the Old Mother.
New Mother, double the energy hit, tastes nothing like the old one.
So as you can see, the commercial was quite direct in terms of we're going to fix this taste problem, and we're holding people to account, and it's all done in a fun way. Keep in mind, but again, the era that was shot in, that was looking at shows like Jackass and things like that, extreme sports, where in YouTube and TV, those sort of shows, practical joke shows, were becoming more popular. However, they did get a little bit of backlash about that TV commercial, so they reshot it using cartoon. What happened? So they were actually quite successful. They're becoming a dominant brand now, and they're doing well, and they're able to move from the Inept set into the Evoked set, and often for many people they're the preferred brand. So they changed attitudes. This had to be an attitude of change first, then the packaging, then the taste, all had to be connected. So they were able to get the trials and win the repeat business and gain a customer following, a customer share going forward. And they also gained a lot of positive attitude change and media attention through the TV commercial and the execution, and accepting that they made a mistake and they were getting it right. And they got to the Evoked set. Again, while this looks easy, this would have taken a lot of execution, a lot of consideration. Should we do this or that? Let's start again with a new brand. How do we do this? How do we pull this off? So for many brands who end up here, they are unlikely to get back up to there. And often it's easy to almost walk away from the brand if it's a relatively young, immature brand that you haven't invested much into. So that's it. Excellent case study. Hopefully you got value out of it. Please see a link below for a teaching activity. And please check out my other videos, and please subscribe to the channel.